And welcome to episode 50 of Conversations with I Follow the Leader. For those who watch often, we're in a very different spot, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. And I think this is actually our first episode where I'm in the same location as a guest, which is extremely special because it's usually virtual that we're having these. So special for episode 50. I have an amazing woman, amazing entrepreneur, wife, mother, life group leader, and friend with me today. And so if you can introduce yourself, welcome.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Tenea Deberry. I am the owner of the Pampered Woman hair salon where every woman deserves a moment. I have been in business for really since I was 24 years old. And I currently own a salon of 9 years now. And I just love to serve people and to love on people as I see Antoinetta here, and she's actually one of my customers as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. And I want to share because I met Tenea through our life group. We're in a marriage life group. My husband and I joined literally right after we got married, right before the pandemic started in 2020. So I've now known you 3 years, and just such an amazing person. Tenea's the only person I will let cut my hair now. And I think it's really important because being from Atlanta, a place where, hair is just very huge. I've been to so many salons throughout my lifetime. I just can't even imagine how many. Probably upwards to like 40 different salons just out of my lifetime. And I can honestly say, right, Tenea's salon and the environment she creates and the experience she creates is next level. And so I'm so excited to be able to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, in the show notes, we'll link her shop, we'll link her website. But if you're really looking for a place where you can be pampered, where it's a peaceful environment, a clean environment, your appointment's going to start on time. There's not going to be 7 people with you waiting to be seen, right? Tenea and her salon's the place to go. She is in Durham, North Carolina. So for all my local Triangle people, or even if you're in Greensboro, etc., right, and you really want a special experience, Tenea is the place. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
This is impromptu. So for those watching, hello, this was not scheduled. We don't usually do that. However, Tenea and I are actually in Charlotte. So for those who are not familiar with North Carolina, about 2 to 2.5 hours from Durham area. And we are doing a courageous leadership planning retreat. And so this was something I was going to do on my break, was record the 50th episode. However, Tenea has some goals around speaking and video and podcasting. So I said, let's just do it together.
Yeah.
So I appreciate Tenea for really being courageous.
Yes, absolutely.
And coming on. And I can't wait because in a year or in 2 years, you're going to look back and be like, wow, look at that. And so I'm happy to be a part of that. And also just so happy to plan with you. You all can't see it, but we have, 14 sheets over there on that side of planning. We planned for almost 5 hours today, on and off. Yeah. And it's been really beautiful. Can you just share a little bit about the planning experience for you?
So this is my first planning experience, and I've never done this before. So it was just overwhelming, not in a bad way. It just made me see my life and the plans that I have desired to do on paper, and just seeing it come alive and really thinking deeper into what do I really want to do. And standing up there writing these things down, and then Antoinetta just kind of helping me prioritize those things. I'm telling you what, it brought me to tears, as I feel like I'm about to cry again. I really do. I feel like I really feel like crying again. But it just really brought me to tears, because you have such visions and you have dreams, and when you have visions and dreams, you're not really sure how to bring them about. You're such. I know as one of the parts of this, one of my strengths is I'm a visionary. I like to see, and I do, but sometimes you don't know how to make that vision plain to yourself. So what we did today was absolutely phenomenal, and it really brought to life my mind. It brought to life my heart, and all of those things.
Well, that's beautiful. We did not plan this, but I am such a believer in planning. There's a special chapter in my book all about planning and just how it's helped me in life. Growing up being a student athlete, you really didn't have any extra time. And so that really taught me that I have to be so meaningful and intentional with my time. And so writing it down is so important. I'm going to read some Courage Candy for those who aren't a part of our Courage Candy text. Because I was doing this week, I've been focusing on vision. And so our topic was vocalizing your vision this week. And so just want to read a few notes. You must visualize before you can actualize. And so what we did today is literally a visual representation of Tenea's year and next year, and we did some things 3 years, 5 years, 10 years out. And it is like to see it visually, honestly, for me, even if you're not a visual learner, the impact of seeing your life out on paper is awesome. Another thing, vocalize your vision. So important. Again, you really have to vocalize, you have to visualize before you can actualize, because sometimes we'll dream things, but we don't actually vocalize it or write it. And so, it's great. You can dream and imagine, but if you don't write it down, it makes it much harder to plan for it. And then something I said is it takes courage to acknowledge you may need help with casting a vision. If short, long-term planning or both are not your strengths, don't get frustrated, seek expertise. And so we're going to talk about strengths later, so I'm not going to go on that, but there's so many people who have strengths in planning, right? Just I joke with Tenea, like I cannot do my hair to save my life. And so I can keep trying to learn to do my hair, or I can just go to an expert. And so sometimes we think I have to get better at something, but no, maybe you just need some help, and it'll help to unlock something differently. And last one I want to share is today we shared a quote from John Maxwell: vision without passion is a picture without possibilities.
Yes, that's good.
And so not only do we have to think about it, visualize it, vocalize it to actualize it, but we have to be passionate. And so I could just say, oh, I want to make this much money, which is what so many people say now. But are you passionate about what you're doing, how you're going to get there? Because if not, you're going to be miserable.
It makes a difference.
And so I just want to, visualize, vocalize, actualize. I told the Courage Candy people, and I wasn't planning to do this, but I'll put a link. If you email me and you want the chapter in 6 months of Courage Candy about planning, let me know. If you ever have any questions about planning, let me know. We can definitely talk about it. And I love going through this process. Me and my husband go through it every year. So Tenea, you told us a little bit about your business, but I want to know what is your superpower?
So my superpower is endurance. That sounds a little cliche, but it is. Being a business owner, you have to endure the good times. You have to endure the bad times. You have to endure the times when you have no money. You have to endure the times when you're not really sure where it's going to come from. You cannot quit. Like, endurance takes strength. And some people, especially as women, we don't feel like we're strong enough to do these types of things. But in all actuality, it takes the endurance to move forward. It takes the endurance to fight through when it's not in its positive days, and to believe the end be while you're in the middle. That in itself is like the biggest part. While you're in the middle and it's not good, you're like, I'm still going to keep pushing forward because I know what the end product is going to look like. So even my business, my numbers are down, even when I don't know what to do, but also seeking the help. So when you said something a little earlier, and asking for help. So as women, oftentimes we don't ask for help. We don't want nobody to know our business. We don't want anybody to do anything for us. I can do it myself. Let me know how that's working for you. How is it working? So when you reach out to others who have the knowledge and who have the information to help you push you forward, because sometimes in your business, sometimes you get to a point where you're like, I can't go any further. What do I do next? I'm feeling stuck. That's when you need to talk to someone else. And say, hey, I need help. And honestly, pray about who you need to go to, because everybody's not willing or everybody's not set to push you forward, because their mindsets are not built to do whatever it is to take you forward to do the things that you need to do.
I think that is so powerful and such a component in courageous leadership. Like you have to have the courage to seek help. You have to have the courage to know yourself enough to know who you're going to listen to. Because everyone, I'm not going to listen to everyone. Like there's some people I don't really like how you're doing your business. So even if you're successful in revenue terms, if we don't align values wise, I'm not going to be able to listen to
Absolutely.
And so I think that's so powerful of being careful who you're listening to, because we're in this social media digital age. Everyone's an expert, but everyone really isn't an expert in everything.
That is true.
What are their credentials to help you?
Exactly. If you don't personally know that, you want to do a little fact checking with those that you're talking with. So again, just whoever you're asking to help you, make sure you know what they know. You know that they're good at what they do, and that they have the knowledge to take you to the next level. Because everybody can't take you to the next level. If they're bringing questions to you like, well, why you want to do that? Instead of saying, okay, let's strategize that moment.
And I think also knowing when you're working with people, and this is whether you're on a team, whether you're the CEO, whether it's a community project, really making sure you get to know those around you. And that's one of the biggest pitfalls I see. We do so many cultural audits in my business, and the leaders don't know basic things about their team members. And so knowing how someone gets motivated, how they best receive feedback is one of the things I tell people the most. You really have to know how people best receive feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
Because some people don't mind being yelled at. That's not me, right? Even when I did sports, like if you're going to cuss at me, like I'm going to completely shut down. That doesn't work for me. And so if you're doing the same thing for everyone, even you as a hairstylist, like people have different preferences.
They do every day.
And are you willing to meet people there? Or are you willing to say, oh, I'm not the right person for you?
Exactly. And just, I think knowing that standard is the biggest component. I know as a hairstylist, I have so many people who have come in and out of my chair. And I have known they're not going to be here long. For one, we didn't connect. And two, I figured to myself, they're going to be here 2 or 3 times and then they're gone. And it has happened. So, but I have clients who have been with me, or customers who have become friends. Who have been with me 20, 25 years. And they're like, girl, I ain't going nowhere. And clients who have been with me 8 to 10 years, 5 to 6 years, and they have been consistently faithful. So that right there, I think when it comes down to the whole thing, it's just knowing your people, them knowing you, and them and you knowing them. It's a big place.
something, I talked to someone this year who is pretty huge venture capitalist, and we had this one-on-one, and I was telling her, I'm like, right, there's some clients or people we work with and they're just not kind, and right, they're kind of discriminatory, and what do you do when you're in business and you meet those people? And I love her answer, because she was like, I stopped caring about those type of people a long time ago.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense, because I've been in that situation where I've had a few customers.
Yeah.
And this was in my earlier days when, I was like, I just got to make sure that they're happy.
Right.
And nothing I did,
right,
whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, made them happy. So at that point, I was like, you know what? We gotta go. We have to separate this. We have to move forward. So some people just kind of moved on.
Yes.
And it was okay.
And right. And that's where I'm getting as a business owner, right? As I'm getting, I guess it's like 7-8 years, and I'm realizing like, everyone, right, shouldn't be a fit. Like, it's actually a problem if your product or your services match with everyone. That means you really don't have an ideal client. And so want to encourage those out there who may be feeling frustrated like I was, like, what do I do? It's really being your most courageous and authentic self, so that your people can find you and stay.
Yes.
And grow and evolve. And so, right, being in business over 10 years is huge. And you've met that milestone. You're an inspiration for me, because that's something most people can't do, most women don't do, and most Black women don't do. So when we look at those statistics, it's very few Black women who can be full-time entrepreneurs. And so you're such an inspiration. I'm really excited for what you're doing for other stylists. And so if we have any stylists listening, check out Tenea, because she's going to be doing some special things for those budding entrepreneurs. And that segues into a great question. What is some courageous leadership advice that you have for others who maybe want to get where you are one day?
So again, never give up. So that sounds like, it's just a word to say, but when I tell you, going back to endurance, never give up. If you are passionate about what you do, if you love what you do, if you, if it's the drive that gets you up in the morning, then never give up on it. Now, let me give this a twist to you. Because sometimes when you start off, you're like, I'm good. You're 5 years in, and then it starts not going. You're like, I ain't doing this no more. But in the beginning, it was something that said, it's what I do. It's what I love. I'm so passionate about it. But when that passion is tested, and is it still something that you get up in the morning to do? Is it still something that you strive to do? And even as we're planning now, what I do, I love. But sometimes it takes a shift.
Yes. Are you willing to go down a different path than you initially started with?
Absolutely. And so when that shift comes, you have to, if you want to stay in the genre of where you are right now, then how do you shift but yet stay faithful to whatever your passion is? So what does that look? That means being open to the shift. Because sometimes we're like, well, there's nothing else I need to do with this. No, there's plenty you can do in what you're doing right now. But when you're shifting, make sure you're shifting, you're getting some help in the shift. Because sometimes you can look at it and be like, well, I'm just not doing it anymore. I don't want to anymore. I'm done. But that goes back to never giving up. If it's really what you love, whether it's writing a book, whether it's speaking engagements, whether it's doing hair, whether it's teaching, whatever that looks like for you, at this point, you have to look at it. I'm not going to give up on this, even in the good and bad times. I'm never giving up.
And just that shift, I think what's also so important, which is some of what we're doing together today and what we've done together, Tenea and I have worked together for the past few years, what is that through line? And for you, it's your tagline.
Every woman deserves a moment.
Every woman deserves a moment. And so that can be so many different things.
It can. So when I say every woman deserves a moment, every woman deserves a moment, that is, my moment doesn't look like your moment. Your moment doesn't look like my moment, but we all have a moment.
Yeah.
So what does that moment look like? That moment says every woman deserves a moment to what? Right. Every woman deserves a moment to be in leadership. Every woman deserves a moment to love. Every woman deserves a moment to dance. Every woman deserves a moment to believe. Every woman deserves a moment to pray. Every woman deserves a moment to journal. Every woman deserves a moment to exercise. Every woman deserves a moment to love herself. Every woman deserves a moment to eat a donut every once in a while. I mean, every woman deserves a moment to do a cupcake. Every woman deserves a moment to eat a cookie. Because we ate one today and I hadn't had sugar in about 3 months. So every woman deserves a moment to do something that you love.
Yes.
In all its entirety, every woman deserves a moment to what? What is that piece for you? What is that moment look like for you? Again, my moment doesn't look like your moment.
Yep.
And you can have many moments. It doesn't have to be just one.
Yes.
But you could, when you put the two at the end of every woman deserves a moment,
that's beautiful.
That is whatever it is, I don't know how many behind that you want to add.
Yes.
But it's every woman deserves a moment to do what?
I love it. I'm excited. I think it's so beautiful. And I'm just going to read. I'm looking over here because Tenea's done the Strength Finders, and one of her strengths is positivity. And so I think you all have seen that today. Just so important and beautiful. Adaptability, right? So talking about that endurance and the shift. This is what makes her such a beautiful business owner, the relator. Okay, so as a hairdresser, right, you want someone you can talk to, someone you can connect with. Restorative, I think that's so beautiful. Someone who is willing, right, to come back to things. And so I want to encourage you to do your Strength Finders. I want to encourage you to think about that prompt. What do you deserve a moment to? And be honest with yourself.
Yes, please do.
Have you taken that time? We're ending the quarter. This is the last day of March of 2023. Like Q1 is gone, y'all.
Yeah, it's gone.
Did you take the moment you needed for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones?
Yeah. And I would add to this that when we're talking about moments, and let me go back to my moment doesn't look like your moment. Your moment doesn't look like my moment, but we have our own moment. So what does that mean? That means you don't piggyback off somebody else's moment. Oh, what they doing, I can do it too. Right. No. Ooh. We are unique to one another.
That's
like someone told me some time ago, what is it? Everybody else is taken. Yes. That means you can't be like somebody else because they're taken. So you are unique to you. You have been made to be unique to you.
Yes.
So if you're unique to you, that means what do you love to do?
Yeah.
What tweaks your heart? Whether it's in business, whether it's personal, whether it's in your marriage, if even in your personal, if you're a single woman, what do you like to do by yourself? Now I have to say,
yes.
When it comes to single women, they're looking at everybody else's lives.
Thinking like,
oh, my life, that grass is green on the side. Trust me, I've been married 27 years. I'm trying to tell you, it's not that marriage is bad, because it is not. We not just me, but we survived 27 years.
Yeah.
And we did it together.
Yeah.
And doing it together, it takes work on both ends, not just one. But going back to the single women.
Yeah.
Stop looking at everybody else's life,
yeah,
saying, oh, I need my life to look like that, because your life will not duplicate their life.
No.
Your life will not duplicate their business. Your marriage is not going to duplicate theirs. Make your marriage your own. And as a single woman, enjoy being single. Can I tell you? Enjoy it. Have a good time. Enjoy it.
Are gonna be like, really, y'all over there cheering. But honestly, I wrote down, like, I love what you were saying, because your timeline is not someone else's. And I'm on that journey. I'm going to be 37 this year, and people are like, you've been married 3 years. Why don't you have a kid? Right. My timeline is not your timeline. Exactly. It's not her timeline. It's not his timeline. Exactly. And I'm going to enjoy it. Me and my husband are traveling, and we're living it up because we can get so stuck in the season we're in, wanting another, that we don't realize this is beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, even to piggyback just a little bit, because it took us, we waited 7 years before we had our first child. And I'm gonna tell you what, we spent time traveling and just doing random things. Yeah. And and then when kids came in the line, we had to, it took some work. But now that our son is 20 years old, and we are in a sweet spot. Yeah. What does a sweet spot mean? That means we know how to get along, and we know how to deal with one another. Yeah. That means we don't get aggravated and argue about things that are unnecessary. Yeah. So when you get to a point of being in a sweet spot, it takes time. Yeah. And you got to get to know one another. You got to get to know their habits, and he's got to get to know yours. Yeah. But at the end of the day, whether you're married or single, just enjoy wherever you are.
Enjoy it. Yeah. I think, and this makes me cry, so I'm not going to talk about it long at all, but what we just saw in Nashville, people from 9 years old to 70 years old went to their normal day, and they did not come home. Yeah. And this is not to get morbid, but I think sometimes we think we have so much time, but yet we don't know. Yeah. And so are you living the moments of your life, whether you have 50 more years or 1 more year?
Yeah. You bring something to mind. So I recently had a first cousin who had passed. And, my thing was, I need to contact him. And of course, years went by and never did. And so he suddenly passed. And it was heartbreaking because, you go through life and you think, oh, I have time. I have time. And you don't. Yeah. And I ended up, after he passed, doing a poem called I'll Do It Tomorrow. Which basically explained where I was mentally. Yeah. And the fact that I kept putting off seeing everybody, because you think you have tomorrow to do it. And tomorrow it's not promised to anyone.
It's not. We've been talking a lot about prioritization, and it's so important to planning. And I live in Durham now, but I'm from Atlanta. And when I used to go back home, I used to try to see everyone. And it was just not even tenable. I would be exhausted. But then I had to realize, no, I need to prioritize. Who is there for me? Who are the people I really need to see? And so now when I go home, I tell very few people I'm in town, because my thing is, it needs to be reciprocal, and I need to be able to spend the time, right? I have aging grandparents, so I go see them every time. I make sure to take the time. One of my best friends passed a few years ago before the pandemic. Her name was Renee, or Florence Franklin. And every time I came into town, this is when I would text a lot of people. Very few people would respond back and make time for me. Renee always did. And so she was at my wedding, all of that stuff. And one of the times after my wedding, when I came in town, she was like, I was busy and I was going somewhere, but she was like, just come by for a second. And so I went by for a second. That's the last time I saw her. And so it's just so important. We can't do and be for everyone. And so the main thing when we're doing planning is prioritization, right? And that changes from season to season. Who needs your time? Who should get it right? Again, having grandparents who are aging, that's very important to me. That if I see no one, I go see my grandparents. That is just so pivotal. And there's a chart that a lot of people do. If you do the number of times you'll see people for the rest of your life, the ones you don't see often, it's scary, right? I see Tenea more than anyone in my family because no one lives near me. Yeah. And so are we prioritizing when we lay out our life? What is on these sheets?
Yeah, that's true.
And would we be proud of how we're spending our days?
That's true. I agree. I agree. And I think it's about taking one day at a time,
Mm-hmm.
but also understanding that sometimes it just takes, listen to the nudge.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Listen to the
beautiful.
nudge. Listen to the nudge. When that nudge is telling you, call your cousin, call your mom, call your dad, call your uncle, call your aunt.
Yes.
Listen to the nudge and do it, because I'm not saying, again, not being morbid, but
Yeah.
you
You
don't
don't
know.
know. You don't know.
You don't know, because it could be your last time.
It could.
So, enjoy, love your family while they're here.
Yep.
Whether they've hurt you or not.
Yep.
Because sometimes somebody hurt your feelings, but I ain't never talking to them ever again. Forgive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of my superpowers.
You do. Yeah.
Is forgiveness. Antoinetta knows a lot of my story, but at the end of the day, learn how to forgive people. Yeah. People are people. They make decisions because they're hurting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they make decisions to hurt you because they are hurting themselves. Yeah. What do you do with that? You pray for them and just check on them anyway.
Yeah.
Because again, you don't want to live with the regret.
Right.
Of, I should have just forgave them.
Yeah.
Some people say, I'll go to my grave never forgiving them. Well, you know what?
It ain't right. What's that going to do?
It's not going to do anything. It don't help nobody.
No.
And again, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
Yep.
Because when you don't forgive, it literally makes you sick.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't realize that, but it's true.
It's true.
It makes you so sick in your mental state, your emotional state, and your physical state. So we need to get to a point of just, let it go.
Let it go.
Because it doesn't need to. Mm-mm. It's disease and infested. If I can say it is.
Yeah.
Trust me.
No, I think it's so important. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning more about Tenea. She's a fabulous person. I'll put her information so you can connect with her. Go sit in her chair. She will just really pamper you, make you feel loved, heard, listened to, cared for, which I think is really important in someone that you're going to be seeing often. Or again, she's the only person I let trim my hair. So very important that you feel comfortable. So yeah, really encourage you. We'll put it in the show notes to connect with her and all she's doing. And I'm just really excited.
Thank you.
It's been beautiful to see over the past few years what you've been doing, and just looking at what she's going to be doing over the next few years. Yes. And this year. It's just really exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It really
is. And something you were saying when you were talking about the moments, I wrote a thing, let someone have their moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is important for me to do for Tenea, to show her how extraordinary she is.
Amen.
And sometimes we just got to do it. We just got to take off the Band-Aid, be a little courageous, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so I'm so glad that you were willing to do this.
Well, again, I appreciate you taking your time to share with me and give me visual insight as well as mental insight about what comes next. If I have to say, she's just a phenomenal woman, a genius. And, I could not have anybody else who could have done this for me and helped me just gently see what it is I need to do and how to put my plans together. So thank you.
You're welcome. I love you.
I love you more.
All right. I know you have a few questions for me, and this is just such a fun 50th episode.
It is.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited. I was a little nervous at first, but I think I'm okay now. So my first question to you, which has to do with my tagline.
Yes.
What does your moment or the many moments in your life look like?
I believe, and when you were talking about every woman deserves a moment, I thought of something. And what I truly believe is every woman or every person deserves a moment to reach their highest potential.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I see so many people who want to be their best selves, but there's something holding them back, whether it's self-doubt or whether it's like when we talk about other people's perception of them.
Yeah.
And I've been that person before that was held back by limiting beliefs or by the worst compliment someone gave me or someone else's perception. And so what I would want for everyone is to have a moment where they are their best self.
Yes.
And the goal is, I love, right, you're like, this could be multiple moments because I believe each season's different.
Yeah.
So, right, there's going to be some seasons of maybe drought or lack, but how can you still be your best self in that moment?
Yeah. And I think even how to be your best self in your moment is to show up for yourself. I think that, and not to take you in on your
that's great,
but just to show up for you.
And
in the worst times, still get up in the morning and get dressed and dress like you are the entrepreneur that you have called yourself to be. I remember those days. I got up in the morning, I did my hair, and I put makeup on, and I didn't have a dime in the bank account. I was like, I'm waiting for a miracle, but until then, I'm going to go to work looking good. And I'm going to act like and look like, and I'm not going to present that to my customers, because when they come in and sit in my chair, they don't want to know my mess. But what they want to know is, what they want to see is that I'm still thriving. And they know that I'm still thriving. And same here.
No, I think that's really important.
It is. Okay, next question. So what is your superpower?
I think one of my superpowers is what we're doing this weekend, is the ability to short and long-term plan. So I joke that I have Tetris brain, which some people on here, if they don't know what Tetris is, it's so funny now, all the generations that I'm like, oh, as a millennial, there's all these generations under me. It's a little scary to have generations, under you. But if you don't know what Tetris is, go Google it. Check it out. It's this old school game where you would just have to keep shifting and flowing and again, prioritizing. And I realized that I can short-term and long-term plan really well, where I can take a 10-year plan and break it down into years, months, days, weeks. And I just have realized doing that it can change people's lives.
Yeah, it can. You changed mine. Anyway, so you kind of answered this a little bit, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. What is the best and most encouraging part of your business and your career, and even, if I can even add, of your life?
Oh gosh, so something I realized, because I'm kind of like, at some point I was like, I've had all these different jobs. Like, what is the through line? And I realized, like, one of my missions is to help people be their best selves. And so whether it was teaching preschool, teaching a 50+ fitness class, or what I'm doing now, right? Teaching people about courage and diversity, equity, inclusion. That really makes me so happy. I love to celebrate people. I love to help people reach that next level, whether it's an individual or a team. And so that makes me so happy. And then I think also something I've realized as I've gotten older is community. And so I have this text community where I send out courage candy. And like one of the members shared today, right, that, they had to put their dog down. I've had people share that they're depressed, that they're hurting with me. And those things to me are everything, because it's means I've created a psychologically safe space where people, right, I'm texting about vision or life, and they'll text me back, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I'm doing. Can you help me? Can we just talk through this a little? And so for me, helping people be their best selves, but then creating senses of community where people can overcome challenges and know how special they are. So many of us just weren't told or taught that you're amazing. And like you shared earlier, that we each have unique things that the world needs. Like we each have something that our community, our family, like, right, our lineage actually needs from us that only we can give. And I think sometimes we feel like someone else is going to give it, but no, like you have things that were meant for you in your generation and your place in time. And I think for me, it's realizing like, wow, some of the people who feel lonely and abandoned, because I've been there, that's part of my purpose is to help some of those people who maybe everyone's looking at like they're fine and they're crumbling inside.
Yes. And I think that's so beautiful. The community piece, definitely, but just everything you said was a beautiful, again, a moment, you know, a moment to encourage, a moment to help people believe, a moment to help people fulfill a goal, a moment to help them plan. Again, it's just every woman deserves a moment to do so many things. But that part of community, when people can have a safe place to share. Because a lot of people don't have that.
No.
You know, there's no safe place. You think you have a friend who's going to keep your secrets.
Yeah.
And you're like, my God, I thought she was a safe place. And she was not.
Or be there forever, right?
Exactly.
There's friendships, right, still from college, etc., where you know your little 20-year-old brain, I'm like, we're gonna be friends forever. And then you have to grieve those relationships, and it's hard if you're a person who's really empathetic. It's really difficult. And so I want to encourage people what you were talking about, like those moments do matter.
Yeah, they do.
How we treat people matters.
It matters.
Right? We have to be able to apologize. To say we've made mistakes, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah, and I think that's a hard place for people to do because pride pops in. And pride says, I'm not apologizing. I did nothing wrong. You know, I have been challenged on several levels in my life to apologize to people, even when I wasn't wrong.
Right. If they felt a certain way.
But you know what I found though, that it released me from the moment. I apologize. You know what? Whatever I did, and I don't throw up in their face. I don't think I did it.
Right, because that's not gonna.
But it was whatever I did.
Yeah.
You know what? I apologize. I'm sorry. I apologize, and I apologize if I hurt your feelings. And I left it at that. And I think I had to do that one time. And the young lady, she was like, well, you didn't do anything wrong. Well, I felt like I did. And I said, and there were probably things that I said that you did not hear. I was like, so you know what? I want to apologize. She said, girl, you all right. You good. I was like, regardless, I still need to do this. And then I took a moment to breathe. But again, taking that moment to apologize and say that I'm sorry. And pride says, I'm not doing it ever. But we need to take that moment to do so.
And realizing like there's so many leaders on this call, right? Like as leaders, yes, we can say we've made a mistake or it wasn't the best decision, etc. That doesn't demean your authority to be human.
Yes. And I think we forget to be human. And let me relate this to even Christianity and belief. You know, there's this balance that we need to find between being human and being a believer. And sometimes we get that misconstrued, and we think that, well, I'm not being the right believer if I'm not being human. That means what does humanity mean? That means it's okay to be mad, but don't be rageful. You know, it's okay to be upset and cry when your feelings are hurt. It's okay to embrace emotion. Because we're oftentimes as believers taught, well, you're not supposed to feel that way. And that's a lie. Because I'm mad and I'm hurt and I'm frustrated and I need to embrace that moment. But I think when we find that place to be real about ourselves. And being to be being real with yourself. I'm really mad about this. And it's okay that I'm mad. But as long as you ain't out killing nobody. You know what I'm saying?
You're good.
You're good. You know, so in hindsight, just taking and saying, you know what, it's okay for me to be human.
It is. And I'm going to encourage you all. I'll put this in the 7 attributes of courage, right? One of them is being unapologetically authentic.
Yes.
But the 7 attributes of courage starts with being caring.
Yes.
Right? And so how can you be authentic and feel and be real and advocate for others, but also care for yourself?
Right.
So this was really fun. This is a little different than our usual, but I think just so beautiful to bring a courageous leader on, to have her ask me some questions as well was fun. We're in this different environment. We're in the Airbnb right now, but still fun. For those who see my backgrounds, I try to stay in line. And so thank you all so much for listening.
Yes.
We appreciate you. Thank you. Like some of you may have listened to all 50 episodes. That would just be crazy. So thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you for listening. I do not take that for granted. You could be doing so many things. And so we're going to do more courageous leadership interviews. Let me know if you liked this courageous leadership interview in different format. Tenea, thank you again so much for being here. Can't wait to see how your planning leads to so many beautiful moments for so many women. And I'm just excited. And I know we're going to look back at this and go, wow.
Amen. Well, again, I thank you for just even having me. And I hope the people have enjoyed this. And this is very impromptu because I was a little nervous. I was like, I did my hair, I have my makeup on. What?
I'm like, no, we don't need it.
She was like, come on, girl, let's do it. I said, okay, let's do this. I'm just pulling my little point,
No.
But so thank you.
Your energy, her personality, y'all can see, even if those who are listening and not watching, you can feel her positivity. I know in her energy. And so, yes, connect with her, follow her, ask her any questions you have. And happy Friday. Happy end of March. So have a great April. Have a great Q2. We are here at I Follow the Leader if you need us to support you, to support your team. And thank you so much.
No, thank you.
See you soon, everyone.